Hi everyone, I would like to give you a warm welcome to our second episode of the NextGen Web Podcast, brought to you by Blazity, the Next.js development experts. My name is Michał, I'm a software engineer at Blazity, and I'm here with...
Hello everyone, my name is Filip, I am also a software engineer at Blazity.
So today we have some very interesting topics. Actually, at the day we are recording the second episode, we're directly one day after the Vercel Ship, which had a lot of cool new features and functionalities brought to you by Vercel. So today we would like to briefly discuss and pinpoint the best features in our minds, and also just bring you the best highlights of the yesterday keynote of the Vercel Ship. So maybe we can start with actually some cool stats Vercel provided yesterday at the keynote. So actually, according to the data, Next.js has over 1 million active developers. Vercel has also over 100 million annual revenue and almost 100 billion weekly requests. So I would say these numbers are living proof for global adoption of Next.js, and just show how Vercel is kind of changing the game in terms of web development. What's your take on that, Philip?
Yeah, so what actually Guillermo said during his opening, this 100 million annual revenue means that people trust Vercel and put their money into their business. So it's a really good sign for them. It's a really good sign for Next.js, as it will grow in numbers in near future.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great take. And also I would say that Vercel is kind of becoming the go-to cloud, especially for hosting the front-end applications, but also thanks to the new features, they are just a game changer in terms of whole infrastructure for developers. So I would say that was really cool to kind of witness the numbers Vercel is dealing with right now. And I guess we can dive straight into the topics that were discussed on the conference. So maybe we can start actually with the topic we've also covered at the first episode of our NextGen Web Podcast, which is the V0 and the AI SDK. So what was so interesting about the new announcements about the AI features from Vercel?
So we had a quick opening by Jared Palmer about AI SDK and V0, what's new, how this whole AI ecosystem is growing. We saw a really cool demo with current calendar application with streaming
that's true.
UI components.
That's true.
So we are steadily going into direction of generative UI, as we spoke in the first episode of our podcast. I think that's really cool direction that will help a lot of users, a lot of enterprise clients. We can see that Vercel is really aiming to gain many enterprise-grade customers when it comes to AI ecosystem, and I think they are doing it well. So this demo, some people may say that this is nothing spectacular right now. We only saw the calendar application, but I think this is an opening for really great things when it comes to AI usage on the front-end development.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's worth noting here also, the Vercel team also mentioned about the kind of quantity of generated UIs by V0, and it overpassed the 3 million UIs generated by V0, which is pretty astonishing, to be honest with you. And it just shows that features like V0, which helps you prototype products much faster and just to iterate quickly, are just being widely adopted by the developers around the world. And also the demo you mentioned with the calendar app, I would say that was like a great example of how cool actually the generative UI can be. So as we mentioned also in the first episode, the demo was basically kind of an interactive chatbot, something like ChatGPT, But also, when the user gives a specific prompt, they're being answered with a fully reactive component, which is great for a developer and user experience. So I would say that was like a cool real-world use case of the generative UI. So that was very interesting. And the funny thing also about the AI, we've talked about it before the recording, is the first thing we noticed about the conference was the AI word counter. So in the world of overall AI hype, people are just making fun of the AI word usages mainly on the conferences. And I'm not sure the AI word count was on like 40 something at the end of the keynote.
Yeah, it was almost 50. So
Almost 50. Yeah, I believe afterwards on the other sessions where AI was like kind of the main topic, the counter just skyrocketed. But yeah, that was interesting for sure. Yeah, so moving on with the next feature, which is the Vercel Toolbar. So basically, the Vercel Toolbar is around for a while right now. And maybe you can briefly, say what the toolbar is about, the current features, and the new features that are being brought to you in the new Vercel implementation.
So with the Vercel toolbar, we can actually resolve a lot of issues when it comes to develop our applications on Vercel and to do it in a team manner, because we can use some collaborative tools to highlight comments about the specific elements on our website, on our specific branch and specific commit. So it really helps when you are working with a team. Besides that, right now we are coming into direction of feature flags with the toolbar. We have the OG image preview on the toolbar directly, so we don't have to work with third-party tools or just test it out on production. We also see some debugging stuff, so cumulative layout shift, and yeah, overall toolbar doesn't seem like a very big deal, but I'm a huge fan of it. It helps our work, and it helps when we are working with a team. So
yeah,
that's
for
really
sure.
helpful.
Yeah, I would say especially in the very agile work environment when the feedback culture is very important, especially when you want to iterate quickly with the product. What the Vercel toolbar allows your team to do is to actually pinpoint the bugs, the kind of issues straight on the live preview of the website. So that's a very handy feature, especially for the kind of maybe non-technical people, where they can just go to the staging environment, just leave a comment for the developer. And what the other cool thing is, straight from the comment, you can convert it to, for example, a Jira task. So that is like a super cool experience in terms of like automation of kind of the bug reporting. So I would say that's a very cool thing. And also the features you've mentioned, which are new. So the Open Graph tool, which allows you to preview the OG images, also the layout shifts. And also, what is cool that Vercel introduced yesterday is also the toolbar in production extension. So thanks to that, the team can actually see the website on the production environment, and also when they are using the special Chrome extension, they can leave the comments right in the production environment, which is like super cool, especially for like the non-technical, maybe for designers, for project managers. I think that's a very handy feature for sure.
Yeah, one small thing about the feature flags also, because right now a lot of, and in the recent times, a lot of feature flags were handled on the client side. And the one issue that it provides is when someone knows what it's doing, he can go into a file with our feature flags and know exactly all of experiments that we are trying to use. So it's really nice that we are going into the feature flags in code on the server side method. So I think it will be also helpful in security way.
Yeah, so basically we kind of smoothly transitioned to the feature flags, which is also, as you mentioned, very cool experience right now, especially for the developers. So what Vercel does here is they bring the whole new flags SDK, which, as you said, kind of takes the flag feature management straight to the server. So thanks to that, we can avoid all of the spinners, the layout shifts, which is very important for the user experience. And overall, I would say that the feature flags SDK looks super promising. I'm pretty sure you can already check out the SDK, and it's very handy, especially with the Next.js utilities, which help you to just overall manage the feature flags on the server side, which one improves the user experience and two improves the overall performance of the app. So that is very cool. And also, I would say it's very important to note here that with the new Flags SDK, Vercel is not only kind of shifting the feature flag management to the server side, but also they bring the web analytics and runtime logs specifically for the flags. So I would say that's very handy, especially for the business, where you kind of want to experiment with the feature flags, but also we want to see the results, the conversion rates. So I would say that's kind of a vital feature, especially for business, where you can specifically monitor all the stats from the specific feature flags. So
Yeah.
I would say that's a game changer for sure.
That simplifies a lot of workflow, and it also reduces the number of third-party extensions and tools that we have to use to actually know what users are clicking into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I guess we've covered the feature flags right now. So let's move to the next topic, which Vercel introduced. I would say that is the most exciting feature for me. I don't know how about you, but I'm talking specifically about the Vercel Web App Firewall. So
Yeah.
it looks very promising. I would say that the security at Vercel was always, there. It was always there, but it was kind of a black box. It wasn't fully transparent. But with the introduction of the web app firewall, the developers get like fully customizable and complete control over the security of the app.
That's true. So the whole panel about security, I really liked it. I watched it on the live stream. I really liked the demo of this firewall. So with the whole
cool.
voting app, it was nice. Cutting out the traffic from New York.
Yeah, maybe just to be on the same page with the people watching. Maybe not all of you have seen the conference. So what they did is, as Philip said, they had kind of the voting app.
Yep.
I believe the voting poll was for the cold start issue. What is the main cause of the cold start issue? And while demoing the Vercel web app firewall, what they did is they created a custom rule which restricted the traffic specifically for the people from New York. And the coolest thing I would say was the latency at this. So as Vercel says, it's the latency is about like 300 milliseconds, which is just astonishing for such a feature.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the security in Vercel wasn't always that transparent.
Yeah.
It was always good, but we didn't know much about it. Right now on Vercel blog, we can see a lot of articles about new standards that Vercel protection is complying to. So we have the ISO standards. They are working on the anti-DDoS protection, and of course they are GDPR compliant. Coming back to the firewall, the really nice thing is that it also simplifies the whole logging operation of any traffic in our application. And with all of that and the previous panel about Vercel Toolbar, I really like this thing that Vercel and Next.js, this whole ecosystem created by Vercel, is trying to simplify almost all branches
That's true. Yeah.
of software development, and they try to make our life easier in such many ways.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the cool thing about it is actually with the tools Vercel provides developers, you can simplify the whole workflow and just rely on like one source, which is Vercel. So the feature flags, the security, deployments, the staging environments. I'd say that's a very cool thing to just simplify our developer lives. Yeah, that's a great
That's
take,
true.
for sure. And I guess we can move on to some improvements about the cold starts. Maybe that's a cool topic also to mention from the conference.
Yeah, so we had some information from Lee Rob about the improvements to Next.js, and we started from the point of cold starts topic. So the Vercel goes into this and watches if there are issues with that, and we have the warm starts for our functions by default, and this will resolve in the thing that functions on Vercel are by default faster than AWS Lambda functions.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, that's really
by
cool.
default. So that's really nice because you don't have to optimize anything. You just have the fast functions out of the box. So this is really cool. And the second thing that he mentioned is making the Next.js runtime smaller. So we have a lot of maybe small improvements, but they add up to each other. So we also have the bytecode improvements. So the functions from the code actually are going as a bytecode to the Vercel functions. So they are like cutting out the middleman, which was the transpiler for that. So it also will make our applications run faster. So yeah, these are some of the improvements and adjustments that will surely help us build faster products.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's worth mentioning here that also in the 100 billion weekly requests at Vercel, 0.5% of them is actually cold starts. So that's very cool that they are actually targeting the issue with the cold starts. Yeah, that's a big game changer for sure. So last but not least, I would say maybe the biggest topic of the Next.js Conf, the Vercel Ship Conf, which is the Next.js 15 release candidate. So there are some quite a new features coming in, which are very interesting. And I would say maybe the first feature we should talk about is the support for the React 19 with the React compiler, which is great.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Next 15 release candidate. I think this will be a huge milestone for Next and for React and for whole web development. Just to clarify, this is a release candidate, not because it's not ready yet, it's because the React 19 is also a release candidate. So the Vercel is waiting for the official support and approval of this update. And soon after that, we'll have Next 15 update. So yeah, React 19, it helps us mostly because of the React compiler stuff. So we have a lot of simplifications when it comes to the developer experience with React. We won't be bothered by memorization anymore. We have simplified refs. We have better hydration error messages, which is also very cool. So yeah, this is something really I feel very positive about, and it also states that Vercel and Next.js developers, like Next.js maintainers, are hearing the community, and this is very cool. The one thing I would also like to mention with that is from the previous topic about cold starts, what Lee Robinson said. If we write a hello world, every language will be fast, but we want to ensure that this fast behavior stays when we are building a big
Yeah.
application.
Exactly, that's true.
So we want to scale up really good, and this is really, really nice that Vercel and Next.js maintainers are thinking about this and helping us on this road.
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned hearing the community. So just by continuing the topic of hearing the community, I would say the next big thing are the changes in cache. So it has been kind of a controversy sometimes with the caching. So what Vercel proposes for the Next 15 is a big breaking change, which is opting out from the default cache behavior. So I would say there are fans of this implementation. I would say that's a very interesting take. I'm very curious. What are your thoughts about opting off the default cache behavior in Next.js?
I'm not a big opponent of default caching. I think this is a tool just like other tools we have in Next.js. I think the issue lays that Next maybe didn't specifically set to users how to manage this default caching, so this could lead to some difficulties and miscommunications when it comes to caching. So I think this is a nice change overall, because they heard that there is an issue with caching and they changed it. But overall, I think the issue wasn't with caching on its own, but rather the maybe documenting of this change. But
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say also that the change where you actually have to explicitly tell Next.js to cache specific routes or actions, it also kind of put emphasis on developers to just maybe take care of the cache and think about it more. Because when you had the default cache, maybe sometimes that could lead to not paying as much attention to the caching system as you should. So I would say that is very interesting change. And also what Vercel proposes for the Next.js 15 release candidate is the incremental adoption of the partial pre-rendering of the components, which is also very cool topic, and I would say it's especially useful for the users, where you have the both advantages of the static generation of specific components, but also availability to stream in the dynamic components straight to the static generated side, which is very cool feature actually.
Yeah, so with that update, I would say we can clearly see that Vercel is going into two directions with its target. The first one is like AI enterprise customers, where we have the AI SDK, we have V0, we have the generative UI, and overall helping these big clients simplify their processes and stuff like that. And on the other side, we have the overall developers, we can say, but also users of our websites, because right now we see a lot of improvements when it comes to performance, when it comes to developer experience and also user experience. One thing also from the cold starts panel, we see that we are going into like regionalization by default paradigm. So this is also really interesting that we'll see a lot more of this in future. Basically, the end goal is here to serve users as fast web applications as it's possible, and I really like this approach. I'm a big fan of these changes, and I think Next.js is going into the right direction with that.
Yeah, sure. So about moving in the right direction, also a big change I would say is the new Create Next app, where by passing the Turbo Pack flag, you can leverage the new Turbo Pack environment. So I would say I was trying the experimental turbo pack a while ago. I would say maybe like half a year ago. And the performance wasn't quite there, I would say. So I'm very excited how the turbo pack is going to work in the new release. I would say the improvements, especially in the dev environment, where you kind of the build pages while you navigate through the app in the development environment. I would say the improvements in this scenario would be very great. So that's also very interesting approach, just to ensuring the best developer experience with the turbo pack.
Yeah. I'm actually in the same situation as you. So I tried this turbo pack experimental version a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see how it goes. So I'm also pretty positive about that. I see that Vercel developers can really put the work into any product they are building currently. So I think the turbo pack, after some improvements, will be a very nice tool.
Yeah, sure. The Next.js 15, I would say we've covered the most of the changes the Next.js is offering for the new release. Of course, we encourage you guys to go check out the official Vercel blog pages and to read more about the technical specifics of the new update. And I would say it's a very interesting journey for the Next.js, and kind of we can see in the wider scale how the framework evolves, especially at start when it was supposed to, just kind of simplify the developer life, especially for the React devs. And now when it's being fully mature frameworks, just for creating the best possible web app performance. So maybe we can also touch on the topic of just how Next evolved around the years, especially considering the new release and kind of the shift of the paradigm in the sense of the web development.
Sure. So we have to go back in time into 2015, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And when Vercel was not Vercel, but it was called Zeit. I don't know if we should.
I guess you're correct. Yeah.
I don't know if
we
should
the name,
pronounce the like it's a German word, but I would go with that. The Next.js starts as a framework that simplifies mostly server-side rendering and static site generation. And we've come a long way. So we have a lot of updates during that time that further simplified our lives as developers, and also introduced us to some I would say fun ways to solve some of the most common problems when it comes to React. Let's dive into this journey.
Yeah, sure. So I would say the cool thing about the Next.js is at the beginning, it was supposed to just make your life easier, especially if you're a front-end developer. And I would say even after adoption of Next.js globally and also by big enterprises, I would say that's the kind of the main thing Next.js maintainers are thinking about, just making your life easier as a developer, which I very much appreciate. I would say that's a great take, especially for us developers. And I just hope the Next.js is going to evolve in the right direction of making our life easier. So I would say maybe we can start with some kind of milestones or the biggest updates where Next.js were kind of shifting the approach to the web development.
Sure. So as we started talking about the server-side rendering and static-side generation, the first versions of Vercel mostly focused on that topic. So we have Next 9 and that times when the static-side generation was introduced to us as developers. And from there, we had several not related directly to rendering updates that also helped us, which we have, for example, the middleware topic so we can introduce redirects in easy way to our applications with one configuration file. We had image optimization, so also a big boost for performance, and I would say a quality of life update. So it's very easy to optimize images in Next.js right now. Actually, we don't have to do almost anything. We have this optimization out of the box. We also had the in Next 10 the update for internationalized routing. So we have support for multi-language websites. And in 2021 we have introduction of script component. Also a great thing, especially for third-party scripts. In that times it was, for example, Google Analytics. And yeah, we're going into direction of the Next 12. So I think one of the Next 12 and Next 13 would be the biggest milestones.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of stop on the the change from 12 to 13.
Yeah.
I don't know how about you, but I felt that when I was kind of developing actually the same app in Next 12 and later on creating the app in 13, I would say I was kind of feeling that I was using like just two separate frameworks, just the shift in adoption of the server components and just overall mindset when you're developing the app. You're not focusing so much on the use effects, on the infinite spinners in your app. I would say that was kind of the biggest maybe breakthrough in Next.js updates. So I guess we can touch on maybe the biggest differences when Next changed from 12 to 13 and the overall shift, just in approach of leveraging the server components rather than using all of the components on the client side. I would say that's quite a big topic to discuss.
Yeah, so let's start from the Next 12. Besides also, of course, the React server-side components, we also have to mention two great things, which is edge functions and the compiler written in Rust. So Rust mentioned.
Yeah.
And going to the topic of RSC, we have the introduction of a new way of rendering components, which is having our components on the server side and doing most of like mixing up on the page which components we would like to see on the server side and which of them are going to the client side. And this is a big topic for developers because of performance, of course, and because this is a new way of creating our application. So right now, when we are creating our website in Next.js, we have to think about the architecture for that, which of these components should be client side, which of them should be server side. When we are, for example, using internationalization, we have to think about do we want our translations to go into client side, for example. So this is a huge deal. The shift from Next 12 to Next 13 was really big in that way, and also brought us the app directory.
Yeah, I would say when I first seen the changes in 13, and as you mentioned, thinking about which components are going to the client, which are server-side components, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to handle all of that, think about the components, where to render them.
Next
I was pretty, pretty scared to be honest, to just implement the new Next. But I would say after you get a hang of it and you actually use it, I would say it's such a game changer. Just kind of shifting all the data fetching to the server side, just passing the data simply in a fetch function, by an async functions in the server components. I would say especially in production apps, and also the app router you mentioned, which actually gives the React apps kind of architecture layer. So I would say maybe the big problem when I was developing apps specifically in React without Next was that there were just so many approaches, how to handle the architecture in front-end apps. So, when you're shifting projects and teams, like you've seen so many architectures, every single team had their own way of, just doing the React apps.
I am a big victim of that.
Oh, yeah, me as well, yeah.
I am like the person who really likes the maybe one source of truth when it comes to file management and architecture. So yeah, this is really nice that they introduced it.
Exactly. So specifically when you're working in larger teams, I would say that the folder layout, which kind of forces you to have a specific architecture, is great just for our developer improvement and just overall efficiency. When you're rolling out new projects, you don't have to think about the architecture every time. You just have specific file architecture that you follow, and it just works out of the box. So I would say that's also a big game changer for us front-end developers. Yeah. Changes from 12 to 13. So the biggest one is the adoption of the server components. So the big thing is that by default, all of the components are on the server. And I would say one thing that developers have to keep in mind is kind of the approach to rendering the components in the component tree. So you have to take care of which component is going to be client side, because if you, for example, put a client component higher in the tree, all of the components later on are going to be client side rendered as well. So I would say that's a big thing to keep in mind while just creating the structure of your app. But yeah, if you want to leverage the best possible performance, you also have to keep in mind some other things to maintain in the app. So do we have any more like very big shifts from 12 to 13?
I think nothing that was like production ready. There is a thing that I think we could talk when it comes to Next 14, which is server actions, but in Next 12 they were like in an experimental state, so I think we can talk about them regarding Next 14.
Yeah, sure. So to be honest, I'm a big fan. Just kind of leveraging the API routes just by an async function, which is great. It's a big like efficiency booster in development. I was widely using the actions in production projects, and I would say I'm a big fan for sure.
Yeah, they're simplifying a lot of stuff. I was mainly using them with forms. So I think forms are one of these things that are pretty common in every project in some ways. So we have contact forms, we have some preferences form, adding something, changing some settings, etc. So we have a lot of forms in web development, and server actions are pretty good at simplifying this process and taking it server side. So yeah, I'm a really big fan also using them on commercial projects. So a huge thumbs up for that.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that we've covered like the kind of basic evolution of Next. I would say that the current path Vercel is taking, especially with Next, but also with kind of the whole infrastructure for developers, enterprises, just for the teams that want to ship products fast with the best possible performance out of the box. I would say that's a great path they are taking. And also I would say that's very cool that in this like whole AI hyped world right now, where like most of the companies are just focusing on shipping just AI products, Vercel is not only shipping very good AI products such as V0 and the whole AI SDK, but also they are improving more like niche problems of us developers. So the things we've discussed today, so the security, the toolbar which Vercel enables, and overall boosts the collaborative experience of bigger teams. I would say that the current path the Vercel is taking is looking very bright in the future.
I would say so. The one thing about AI and Vercel that comes to my mind is that they actually build products that matter.
Yeah.
For example, V0, AI SDK also. But I think V0 is a great example because there are a lot of new AI products on the market with different companies that are actually only ChatGPT wrappers.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's
and they are
exactly,
and they are like marketed as something groundbreaking, etc. So when I am using V0, for example, I really see something bigger here and something that's going into the right direction, especially with the like support for SHA-CN right now and other design systems in future. I think this can really, as we mentioned in the first episode of our podcast, this can really be the go-to for prototyping and building fast MVPs for products. And the second thing with Next.js overall, it introduced us to so many rendering strategies. We have a lot of tools in our hands. We can adjust them as we want, and we have them in one place, so we don't have to download any third-party libraries and worry about our bundle size. We have all of this optimized in one place and just ready to use. So I'm really happy about the current state of Next.js, the current state of React, and the future of all of this front-end ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. I would say maybe the first experience with Next.js, I was amazed just by the one-click deployment to Vercel, and I think that this approach is also being transferred to other more advanced products, like you said, for example, the AI SDK, the V0. I was trying to make like a simple ChatGPT app with the AI SDK, and that was just like so simple. And just the overall performance you get and efficiency as a developer, I would say that's the biggest advantages of using the Vercel ecosystem, and also overall the Next.js framework. So yeah, I would say current state of this ecosystem is great. The future is looking very bright. I would say in the near future we are going to be able to ship great products fast and with great performance and security in the back of our minds very quickly. So that's a very cool take on that. And yeah, I would say we've covered our topics for today. So we've discussed the Vercel Ship. We've touched the topic of the Next.js evolution. I would strongly suggest you guys to check out the Vercel blog posts with the comprehensive descriptions of the new features. So I would like to thank you guys for sticking with us till the end of the episode. Like, share, subscribe our channel, and I hope to see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.